Welcome, and thank you for taking part in the self-guided video series aimed at supporting your efforts of becoming an informed and empowered advocate. In this video, you will learn about the legislative session and process, in particular, how a bill becomes law. Let's begin with an overview of the legislative session, which for 2022 is scheduled to begin on January 10th and end on March 31st. The legislative session is the period of time when the General Assembly is convened for the purpose of lawmaking. The General Assembly meets in regular session on the second Monday in January for a duration of 40 legislative days each year. Note that legislative days are not calendar days. Neither the House of Representatives nor the Senate can adjourn during a regular session for longer than 3 days. Each legislative day, members of the House and Senate meet to introduce, discuss, and vote on issues, particularly bills. Why is it important to understand the process? For one, knowing how a bill is passed is a tangible step of action on an issue. You also become an informed advocate and one who is able to engage in meaningful dialogue with legislators. Furthermore, knowing the process is pivotal to understanding when you are the most influential in asserting your position for or against a bill. For example, although some bills are heavily debated, bills are rarely amended on the House or Senate floor. That's why it's important for constituents to speak out for or against a bill while it is in committee. So how does a bill navigate through the legislature? Essentially, there are 3 stages of the legislative process. Step 1 is introduction, where the bill is assigned a number entitled. Note, following its introduction in per Georgia's Constitution, the title of each new bill must be read 3 times on 3 separate days in each chamber. Step 2 is committee consideration. Here members consider the bill, allow testimony by others, and study committee reports. Members can either send the bill to the floor for a vote by adopting a favorable report that states do pass with amendments, or do pass by substitute. Alternatively, members can stop a bill from advancing. Let us take a closer look at these steps in action. This flowchart shows how a new law is made in the legislature. Please note, as you review the chart and following its introduction in either the House of Representatives or Senate, a bill has 3 separate readings, 1 in chamber, 1 in committee, and 1 on the floor. A bill must also pass an affirmative vote by a majority of the members in both chambers before being sent to the governor. Once again, the governor has 40 days to either sign the bill, veto the bill, or do nothing, which would allow the bill to automatically become law at the end of the 40 days. There are also important dates relative to the legislative process you should know. During the period which begins on November 15th of each calendar year and ends on the Friday before the second Monday in January of the following calendar year, bills and resolutions considered for introduction in the General Assembly may be pre-filed with the Secretary of the Senate and the Clerk of the House. Pre-filed bills provide insight of legislative priorities for the upcoming session. Crossover Day, which is the 28th legislative day, is the last day that a bill can be passed in the Senate and sent to the House, or passed in the House and sent to the Senate. Bills that fail to get a floor vote by crossover day generally would not be passed for the year. Sign Die Day, the 40th legislative day, is the final date for a bill to be passed by both chambers before being sent to the governor's desk for approval or veto. Be mindful of these important dates as you advocate for or against specific bills throughout the legislative session. There are also important dates relative to the legislative process you should know. Now that you have an understanding of the legislative session and the process specific to how a bill is passed, it is important to also follow the status of bills that you support and have an interest in. so check out the video on tracking legislation.